Oh, we are back.
Hello, hello. I think I'm gonna grab a piece of fruit or something because I need hydration.
I'm having the oat of the honey nut right now.
Oh, are we gonna do that like American? This is what Americans think British fantasy means, or like Celtic fantasy means, where it's blank of the blank, the leaf of the oak, the wood of the oat, the honey of the oats. Like,
I mean, I wasn't
If we
intending
could
to,
please
but
not.
yeah, it wasn't the plan.
I don't want to be disowned by the extended family, please.
Right. But we are back. We're playing the Low Cantrefs, created by Luke Jordan, who is here running facilitating the game for us.
Me.
We have created our characters and answered a bunch of questions about them and about our village of Sindel. And we're now, I think, ready to kick off play.
Yeah. So, it is early autumn in the village of Sindel, I think. The harvest is not, it's not yet kind of like the full and extended harvest time, but the land around is rich with the wild bounty of that harvest. It is a time where like things are starting to get chilly, like those blissful days of like beautiful, heartbreaking clear blue skies and like summer warmth that only lasts for like 6 weeks. Those are now a memory. The like autumn chill has started to settle in. The bones of the land are starting to ache a little. It's very, very nippy every morning as you wake up. There's mist that gathers around the pool at the foot of the ridge. And I think on this particular early autumn morning, we find the three of you, and I think it is today just the three of you, out in the ruins, playing around and killing some time. What game have you all settled on playing today? Which of the many amazing games that we've identified?
Can we be playing a running game? I love the idea of opening on a scene of the three of us, like at our most kind of boundless, like unself-conscious, like state.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I think the three of you. Oh, Sean.
I was gonna say, I think it's run around the grove and back again. It's like a race, like that's like the goalpost because it's everybody
tag
knows
the
it.
yew tree and then
or maybe it's sort of follow the leader. So it's like run around the oak and then into the ruins and whatnot, and everyone's chasing. And I think Tang is totally the leader, and we're all trying to chase you.
Then I know what bullshit game we're playing. We're playing I don't know what to call it, but it's like there's a line behind you and we call it grizzly bear, but there aren't grizzlies there. And like when you turn around, everyone has to be completely still and frozen. And the leader, who's the bear, will go around because movement is what it's like one of the first things that you notice, right? You're trying not to be noticed. And so there's this line of people and they're all like frozen. And you as the bear go back and you're like sniffing and making bear sounds and like trying to get someone to break and laugh or move in some way. And you can't touch each other, but like you can really use whatever like, you make faces. And I have gotten, and when you break, you go to the back of the line. And I've gotten everyone to break except one of you two. And I don't know which one of you two it is.
I think totally Whisper. I think Whisper is way cooler than Moss.
I was trying to be nice, but yes, I think so too.
Right, so we've all established that Tang is at the front and Moss is at the back. And yeah, I think for whatever reason, I think maybe today is a day where there's some kind of like trip that's been organized where like a bunch of the local families are going to go out into a spot of the meadows where there are a lot of wild berries. And so all the other kids were like, oh, wild berries, that sounds amazing. And so they've all kind of like, it's about midday, they've all wandered off to go and join that. It's just the three of you left, continuing to race around in the ruins. And the strange thing about the ruins is they're not like enormous. It's not like there was a city here once or anything. But like there does always seem to be like some new undiscovered spot I think there is like a main section of the ruins where everyone likes to go to play all these kind of like, you know, these contained games where like, and here's like we make a circle and someone's in the middle and, you know, we go in or out, or like, you know, here's where the person who's looking stands and everyone else hide kind of like, but only within eye shot, within kind of like casual seeing distance. But the deeper parts of the ruins are kind of largely unexplored. And Tang, I don't know if it's just that you haven't noticed in your enthusiasm, or if this is some kind of, you know, breaking new ground spirit that is filling you, but I think you've all wandered a little ways deeper into the ruins, perhaps, than you normally would.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been lulled by that like that crisp autumn air. It feels like there's
Yeah.
more light going into the border than there actually is. And it's just the three of us, you said?
Yeah, just the three of you.
Yeah, I think at this point, like it's kind of like all the discipline of the game has kind of devolved, and now we're not really playing a systematic game at all. There's just like a lot of like me running and Moss and Whisper like running behind me as quietly as I can, and then like turning around unexpectedly and like freezing or just jumping into the bushes, and then I have to like sniff them out. And there's a lot of that like very organic play that kids do where nothing, the most formality is that might be given is like I'm a bear now, and then like it's just understood that I will be making bear noises and
You'll be
bear
doing the things that
grunts,
bears do.
waffling around, like maybe like even bear walking like on all fours, which and like we're playing so much that we've crossed. There's a lot of really healthy meadows, right? Like grasslands, plains. Like there will be woods around them sometimes in certain areas of the world, and I think we've just wandered off that like clear division between like the meadow where everyone over there can see us. Like we were in line of sight of the berry gatherers even though they're very far away, but now no one can see where we are anymore.
Yeah.
I think Moss is hiding in a bush with Whisper, holding Whisper's hand, and then squeezes Whisper's hand really hard and goes, "Oh," and sort of points. And there is a wall, and I think there's a big circle on the wall where like used to be a window, but the window is gone now, and we can see like just like this one shaft of light coming through that wall, and it's like it's landing right where Tang is standing. I don't think Tang realizes that she's in this like beam of light that where she's standing, but it's like clearly like I'm envisioning like this old like church building, but all that's left is the front wall and the big window. Lights shining down, and the O is like, oh, that looks pretty. It's not like, oh, that looks terrifying. It's like, oh, that looks neat. You know,
I think Tang has like dark hair and brown eyes, but in direct light, you can see a lot of highlights in the colors of her hair. And also, there's like a village, not insult exactly, but like you've got hawk eyes on today, and what that means, like falcons are cooperative, like the people who use birds to hunt, which Tang is like getting old enough to have started doing. Like falcons are cooperative. They're smaller. They're a little easier to work with because a lot of falconry is cooperative between the falconer and the bird. And cool fact: most falconry even today is like with wild birds. Hawks are bigger. They're meaner, they're a little recalcitrant, and it's just a lot harder to earn that tandem working together, like camaraderie with them. And sometimes it's quite willful. And so that like you've got hawk's eyes on today is a way of saying like we need you to be like more chill, like you need to behave.
Get on the team, please.
I think Tang hears it a lot. And I think that there's actually a slight physical self-consciousness because people will tell Tang that he just has hawk's eyes because of the color when the light hits it. And there is that eerie quality right now as he's like actually maybe just like the body awareness of now we are in the woods and suddenly everything about him's gotten a little quieter and like he's like the curvature of his body is different. He's lighter on his feet. Like you can tell that not all the weight of his body's on them. And for a second, like he's like actually stalking you. He doesn't mean to, like, he doesn't want to scare you. Like she's not actually trying to be like, this is what it's like to be a prey animal or something. But it's just this instinctive shift. And like, I think the thing that Moss and Whisper see from their little giggly hiding place in the bush is just that flash of light and the like tiny pupils and like eerily lit irises of Tang's eyes as she says, "There you are," and like dives for you into the bush.
Well, in this moment, I think we might just let's just put a pin in it for a moment because Sean having very generously put you in the protagonist spotlight, almost literally. As I think as there is that moment of like you in this beam of light, frozen in this like very predator kind of like mindset moment, I think it sounds like you might be giving a fraught situation your full attention.
I would say so. Let's review that basic move in case there's someone perhaps watching or listening who might not know what that is. Oh, I just bumped my whole table and the camera with it. Okay, here we go.
Yeah. So when you give a fraught situation your full attention, roll plus caution, and then depending on how you do, you get to ask the chronicler a number of questions, which you can either ask kind of all at once as an info dump or space out across the unfolding of the situation, right, if you'd rather kind of like parcel them out that way. And I have to answer the questions honestly.
Yes.
I'm obliged to do so.
Yeah, and for reference, this is McGay Baker and Vincent Baker's Powered by the Apocalypse 2d6 roll, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
It
awesome.
is indeed. And I will give away now. Normally, I might not consider playing a game of tag with your friends to be a fraught situation. I'm tipping my hand here a little.
Okay.
It is a fraught situation.
Well, I got exactly 7. So I can ask 2.
You can ask 2. Great job.
Ooh. How about what should I be afraid of first?
It seems like a good question to ask.
Uh-huh.
Can I just check? I'm hearing a little bit of buzz in Gion's audio. I cannot tell.
So
is that
sorry.
just me, or is that my headphones? Is my question?
No, that's yeah. I just started getting it as well.
Too. I wonder what it is because I'm using the mic. Let me double check that I'm using the mic. It might be my laptop is not enjoying this warm day, so let me move my mic away from it. Is that a little better? I know it looks awkward on the camera, but
no, it's still. It seems like it's as soon as the mic starts picking up, it's adding a little.
Well, in that case, what if I actually switch my audio input and see if the internal camera on my laptop is better?
Give that a shot. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second before we.
No problem.
Do this.
We will wait in suspense as we find out.
Okay.
Yeah, it gives
Is that better?
Yeah.
Clear as a bell.
Son of a bitch! It was given to me as a gift by a wonderful friend who said it's really good, but it's the last 3 or 4 times I've used it, it's had some issues, so I don't know.
Nothing but trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
sometimes you get the nice equipment and it just adds complexity to it.
Yeah. So I'm actually I'm gonna banish it entirely to clear up some clutter. Okay, cool. So yeah, what should I be most afraid of?
What should you? Great question, Jim. Mm-hmm. What should you be afraid of? So I think like just to paint the scene again, right? I think you're all in the shadow of what was once the front wall of some big important building. There's this kind of remnant of what would have been a window, but it's now empty. The beam of light is shining through it. I think on the other side of you, a good ways off, there's kind of like what would have once been the wall of some other kind of a building that is like only still half standing. You know, very few plants around, this like loose, ashy soil kind of disturbed by, the previous running. So there's still a little bit of a haze in the air, which I think is part of why this beam of light is like catching so intensely. What should you be afraid of? Gian, you said to me before that Tang has this strange certainty that if the Ash people were ever around, they'd just know.
Yes, I did say that, didn't I?
Yeah, Gian, how does Tang just know that that something in the atmosphere and the safety of these ruins has like changed?
You don't have to be a hunter to know that something has fixed its eyes on you and that its intentions are not peaceful. I think that there is just a physical reaction where Tang just knows that something is fixing its full attention on the three of us. I think the hairs on the back of my neck are starting to stand up. Tang tends to wear her hair up. And I think that I just immediately know that something is wrong. Who here is in trouble?
Here is let me soften the knife that I have just held to your throat. No one, like, I think the hairs all stand up. You're like hyper aware. All of a sudden, you're very aware of like the sound of your own breathing. But it doesn't feel like any of the times you've been out there stalking an animal and you've had that moment of like, oh God, like, I think it's noticed me and like frozen. Something is awake. Something is watching. But it feels more imminent in the, not imminent with an I, imminent with an A, and like pervasive and environmental than it does like directed and aware. The ruin is waking up and is watching you, not some specific creature. And so no one is in trouble yet.
Okay, I am going to turn to Whisper and Moss, and in the calmest voice I can manage, say, "I think we should get back to the berries. Let's go back."
And I think, like, at that point, Whisper looks past you and says, "Are we going to leave something behind?"
The hairs on my neck stand up even more, and I think I avert my eyes for a second. There's just something about the way you said that. The skin on the palms of my hands feels cold, and I just repeat what I said without answering you. Let's go back. And I start walking out of the bush, but like with my head half turned over my shoulder to make sure the two of you are following me.
I think, unfortunately, Moss didn't hear you. Maybe that's
didn't
Moss's...
hear you or didn't want to hear you.
I don't know. It could be tomato, potato. You know, who knows? I think we were originally hiding in this bush, and you knew where we were, right? And when you came over, and you said, "Let's get out of here." I think in that window where the camera sees both Whisper and Tang, both Whisper and Moss in hiding in the bush, and then you walk over and say it, and then when the camera looks back, it's just Whisper. And when you kind of look, you see Tang is like, I don't know, 10 paces ahead, not far, not like you couldn't chase Moss down. Sorry, I said Tang. Not like you couldn't chase Moss down, but like definitely like walking around, like looking at the dust motes and how the light catches them, and definitely just going like deeper into this. Just to, invite trouble upon us. And it looks like kind of filled with wonderment, like looking up in the air, like looking as though there's something to see. They're really just looking at the dust motes. It's not like they see anything invisible. I mean, I don't think they do, but yeah.
In the immortal words of Vincent Baker, Tang, Whisper, what do you do?
I'd love to invite Whisper to react first, because I feel like Tang's gotten a lot of stage time, and because I feel like that will help me set up. It'll just give me more information.
So Moss, you walked ahead of us, is that right? And
Mm-hmm.
you're
Mm-hmm.
walking deeper
I
into
think
the
I
woods?
was like just right at your side, and when you looked over at Tang, and then by the time you looked back, I was just gone. And then when and then I'm now 10 feet, 10 paces ahead, wandering further in, but still totally fine, like still totally catchable and findable. Just
Yeah, I think I'm going to take a moment to calmly focus, dear chronicler, and I'm going to activate my move of doorkeeper.
Yes.
So when you take a moment to calmly focus, you can always ask the chronicler one of these questions and receive an honest answer. So I'm going to ask, what is happening near here in death?
There is oh god, that's a real head scratcher. How do I describe this? Somewhere nearby, and I don't think you can tell exactly where, but it is only as far as like on the other side of one of these like wall, half ruined walls that block your line of sight. Somewhere near here, something is dead or dying. But if it's dying very slowly, and if it's dead, it's only a bit dead. And it doesn't feel like any person. It doesn't feel like a person's death, and it doesn't feel like an animal's death.
And when I sense that, I look very slowly towards Moss, and my pale eyes don't quite catch the light as they should. And I say, Moss, come back here. Take my hand. Don't wander too far.
I think Moss is kind of like doo doo doo, like walking, and like when you say like Moss, they just like Moss just like caught like it's like red light, like Moss like freezes in like with like one foot up and one hand up, like I've been caught. Oh no, And then you say, come back here, and Moss sort of like peers over the back of their back, like to see you, and kind of like gives you this like inviting eyes, like, huh? Like, I'll go with you. Maybe you want to come with me? And is like trying to convince you that like what would actually be more fun is if all three of us went together into this. I'm really bad at like looking at basic moves and figuring out like what things you can do, but
you are all good, Sean. I don't think you've hit anything yet.
I don't think I have either.
Can I ask Whisper a question really quickly?
Yeah.
How loudly did you say, Moss, come here? Why don't you catch up? Like, can I hear you say that?
Oh yeah, because I have a voice that carries, right?
Right.
So
right.
Even if I just talk in a whisper, it echoes all throughout the ruin.
When you say that, I take my bow, which I've been carrying in its passive position on my back from off my shoulder, and I string it. And I move my grip to its handle.
Cool. So, Whisper, it sounds like the power is in your hands.
Yeah. Moss is definitely still Moss is still playing a game because they're still holding their like hand. They're still staying frozen as though you like cast a spell on them. But clearly, they're just holding themselves in this position, and they're trying to see like, are you going to instead come with them? And if you do, great, we'll all go in this together. But if you don't, they'll come back. It's totally up to Whisper to be like come back or not. But I still want to give you that invitation to come with me instead.
Yeah, and I think what happens is Whisper looks at you, and you see them place his hand on the bell, and that's like a nervous, unhappy gesture that he has, and that's a sign of like how nervous. But he's not going to say it out loud, right?
Nice.
He's not going to say out loud that he's nervous.
Awesome. That's great.
But it's a way for Moss to know that things are not okay.
Awesome. Moss takes the hazel walking stick and like, because it's a thin one, it's really thin, like, and it like whips at some bush, like, ha, get off me, you know, like, unhand me, right? And just goes, whoosh, and then comes scurrying back.
Yeah,
there was no reason to attack the bush. It was just like, you know, Whisper and Tang both seemed like there's something bad here. So, yeah,
So now that Moss has successfully driven off the evil bush, and all three of you are together again, Tang, you have, I think, a slightly unnerving realization, which is that because you went further into the ruins than you normally do, it is not immediately clear to you which, like, look, if you just pick an opening between ruins and you go through it, and then you keep doing that, eventually you will find your way out of the ruins. But which way will get you back to the way you came in that's in sight of the berry pickers?
There is a faster
I'm not
way.
Sure.
Yeah, I feel like if it were just me, I would be looking for the fastest way out, which often are the game trails, highways that you can notice that animals have taken over and over and out. But I have Moss and Whisper with me. They have to be able, and especially Moss, like, I think even in this moment of like heightened attunement out of a sense of urgency to the situation, Tang can't help but mutter, like, you're such a baby sometimes. And I know that whatever route we take, it's going to have to be easy.
Gion, if I may, let me just add to those prickled hairs on the back of your neck a little. I think this is perhaps the moment, in the way that, like, sometimes you've been going to a place for years and you suddenly, like, see it in a different light and, like, notice a thing that you should have noticed years ago. I think this is the moment where it suddenly occurs to Tang that there aren't ever any animal tracks in the ruins. The only animals who come here are human animals. And this is a part with no human game trails in it, other than maybe like the tracks you left on the way in.
Yeah, I am going to take several arrows out of my quiver and hold every one except for the one that I knock in my bow hand so that I can use it more easily. I feel the weight of my knife on my belt just very consciously. Like, I don't reach for it because my hands are full, and I move in what I perceive to be in front of Moss and Whisper by actually moving a little further into the ruins in the woods and putting them at my back, which is closer to the meadow. And I start actually backing up with the bow knocked. And again, in the calmest voice that I imagine an adult would use, I say, everything's fine. We're going to leave now. And we just keep moving back towards where I know the barrier of the woods to the meadow is. And I say, I just like to practice my form sometimes. This isn't, you don't have to worry. We're really fine. And I would love to know, I mean, Whisper must know immediately that I'm full of shit. Like, you're just not even looking for reassurance. Like, Moss might be like, oh, maybe, you know.
Moss
but
is counting how many arrows you're holding and, like, holding up that many fingers and just being like, one. You know, like, Moss does not sense the danger and does not perceive you reacting as though it's dangerous. It's like, Moss totally believes you. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
great.
yeah. And I think Whisper looks straight into your eyes, Tang, and Whisper does not blink. And silently, they take out their sword. And
nice.
It's an enchanted sword, but it makes no sound when it leaves the scabbard. Not even a whisper.
Gion, it sounds like Tang is maybe standing fast against his fear in this moment. To me,
am I doing that, or am I resorting to violence?
I don't know that there is something here to violence yet.
That's true. Okay, I'm going to roll. Let's do it. So on standing fast, let's just go over this move verbally very quickly. I'm moving up in my PDF.
I got it on the screen too.
Oh, okay. Let me actually,
Yeah, so when you stand fast against your fear in an adult, you roll with courage. If things go very well on a 10+ hit, not only do you keep your shit totally together, but I will reveal some kind of opportunity to you. On a 7 to 9 hit, if you kind of like get a middling result, you hold it together, but you lose something in the struggle. And on a miss, shit's fucking bad.
Okay. My courage is 0, so it's just straight what the dice tell me.
Oh,
and
boy.
you rolled well before, so what if we did that again? Well, I got a 7. So that's not bad. It's okay.
It's a hit.
It's a hit. Yeah, so let's...
You barely hold it together. Choose what you lose.
I'm going to say...
And there is an etc. on the end there, so if you'd like to offer something, by all means.
Yeah. I mean, definitely my momentum. I think what happens is when Whisper pulls out their sword, I give up the pretense for a minute so that I can just stand and listen. And I don't even bother to tell Moss to like stop, kind of fidgeting, because I'm so used to hearing Moss's sound that it's like a part of the environment. And I'd love to know from you, what do I hear or notice or see, or like any other sense, like smell, where I know that that's where I need to aim my arrow?
As you just like stand here in this frozen moment. Yeah. Let me first go back and offer an amendment. Let me correct the record. Because I think, Whisper, as you have like continued to stand here and like listen to your senses about what is going on in death, and like your kind of like grasp on it has become like more attuned, I think you have started to like hone in on that strange feeling. And I think I would like to amend the record on 3 points. One, it is not one something. It is several somethings. Specifically, there are 3 of them. 2, they are not on the other side of the half-crumbled ruined walls that you can see. They are on, like, immediately on the inside of the crumbled ruined walls that are immediately around you. And thirdly, now that you've had a moment to sit with it, you know what the feeling reminds you of.
Ooh. What does it remind me of?
Sorry, this is Whispers. Like,
oh, I'm sorry. I
will
couldn't tell who you were talking to for a second.
No, yes, all good. Gion, I will get to you. To you because I have an answer. But yeah, so Whisper, yeah, it's 3 half-dead somethings, not one. They're a little closer than you reckoned with. They are in this little kind of like boxy section of the ruins with you, presumably in line of sight. And the feeling of their half-death feels like when you wake up in the morning in someone's house and they haven't built the fire up properly the night before. And so like there is just like, there's not even really an ember left, just like coals and ashes that have held onto their heat and that maybe could take a spark again if you tried. That's what this like wakeful deathfulness feels like. Gion, you see the shape of a body that is like a human body, crouched down, like behind the bush where the 2 of them were hiding. You can see like the unmistakable shape of like a human leg, like kind of making the leaves kind of like slightly out of arrangement. And you know where the chest of that body should be. And then I think you can also see 2 similar shapes, like lying slumped, leaning against the wall to your left. And I think that is maybe the moment where you realize that like these aren't living creatures. They're like, it's like if you took clumps of earth bound together by like the roots of the meadow grass and you arranged those clumps to form a body that looked something like someone's idea of what a human should be.
Cool. I'm going to shoot it. I
Yeah,
am
for sure.
resorting to violence. I think
You don't need to. Like your arrow,
great.
your arrow sinks into the dirt.
What the fuck?
And nothing happens. And so there's two of them. There's two of them on the left. Yeah, there's two of them on the left, slumped against the wall, like dusty with like the dust of ages. And then there's one more behind the bush.
Cool. Everything is screaming at me to run, but
let me offer the final clue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like you see, there's two over there, there's one over there. You loose an arrow, it sinks, like it's like shooting a pile of dirt. The arrow just goes in.
Right.
And I think that's when you all place the smell. It's finally strong enough that you can smell it. You can smell smoke. Very, very faintly. And over, not like in the very back of your peripheral vision where you can barely catch it, there is a color that is totally out of place here, which is like a deep charred black.
Mm-mm.
And
nope.
I think as you turn around to see it, you can see a like charred outline on the wall and on the soil where a fourth one of these things once lay. And like there's an outline burned in there, and there is nothing inside it.
Oh my God, the way you're describing this is making me think of like radiation shadows. Like that sounds, is that what we're seeing? Like
no, like it definitely looks like someone took a brand.
Okay.
And like scorched out the outline of it. Like something very hot was lying there.
But there's nothing natural or within the scope of not just daily life, but even like other ritual that I would be familiar. Like I'm looking at this and it's just
no. Okay. And it's also
great.
like the outline isn't the outline of these other three weird like body things.
I will admit that before you gave me that last clue, I was about to say like everything inside me is screaming to just grab the hands of Moss and Whisper and run. But also there's like a natural curiosity because I want to know like as a tracker. But no, the second you said that, I want to run. And I with Jamie and Sean's permission as players, right? Like I think I would like to not even ask and just not even say it, just like take both your hands, like not your sword hand, because I want you to have that free. And Moss, and I think I just want to lead you. And I think in my haste, I am like not thinking about the easy path anymore. I am finding the fastest path.
I would like to linger just for a moment before we do that.
Yes.
As Tang has this horrifying slow motion realization in like hypervigilance mode, Whisper and Moss, both of you are like sheltered behind Tang's body. You can see he's like not having a good time. He shoots a lump of earth on the wall for some reason. But that now that you look again at that lump of earth, yeah, it does look a lot like a body that someone shaped out of a bunch of earth and grass.
Mm-hmm.
What are either of you doing as this is going on?
I know Tang is, not big on ritual and superstition, but Moss is super big on those things, and I would like to call on superstition because we've heard of the Ash people. Like we all know about the Ash people. That's the very first thing that Moss thinks when we think that there's people.
It's a very reasonable conclusion to draw. Yes.
Well, I mean, that's all we've always been afraid of. Like, I think Moss has thought there have been Ash people out like a bunch of times when there wasn't. I think like jumping to that conclusion is like a natural thing. So I would like to recall a ritual or a talisman that would sense danger, so we could sense if they wanted to hurt us. And I think the way that how
does that? What does that talisman or ritual look like?
Yeah, I think what it looks like is a I think I'm imagining like ash hitting a pool of water and like immediately disintegrating and kind of sort of separating. And so this is the really like this is the really kid version of this ritual, which is like spitting on my arm and then like picking up some of the dirt and like sticking it, like rubbing a little of the dirt off the ground on my arm. And if it just stays like normal dirt, it's fine, we're okay. But if it spreads, then we know. Like normally, the way you do this, you'd take a little sample, you put it in a small bowl, and you'd watch it like spread to the edges. And if it rings the edges, but in this case, I think it's like spit in the center of my hand, drop some, yeah, and see if it goes to the edges of my hand, then we know something means us menace. Yeah, that's my kid version of this ritual.
Fantastic. Now, why don't we roll learning to see if this ritual is real or just made up?
I mean, it's definitely, those things are not mutually exclusive. I don't know why you gotta. All right, all on superstition.
And so I have noted the details of this down because whatever happens, it is a thing that you will be able to use again in future.
All right,
there won't be a roll next time. It'll just do whatever it does.
Nice. Well, I rolled a 6, but I have +2 learning, so that's an 8.
That's an 8.
And I will share that.
So on a 7 and 9 hit, it works as whoever taught it to you said mostly. So you're going to choose one cost. The effect is weak or limited. The effect is unreliable or short-lived. It exacts a price or it attracts unwanted attention. And I will choose another price.
Oh, it totally attracts unwanted attention. They know we're doing it. They know. When you do the ritual, it's like, you're kind of also announcing yourself to them.
Yeah, it's also an announcement. Fantastic. And I think it is also I think it is also weak or limited.
Yeah.
Which I think
particularly the version I'm doing of it.
Yeah, and I think specifically what that is like the full version doesn't just ring the bowl, it also like based on what directions it's flowed in, like you can divine where the thing is, how close it is, how far it's escalated. Is this like all this will tell you is there a dangerous thing within like 100 paces of me?
Yeah.
Where is it? Who knows? What is it? Who knows? What's it about to do? Wait and find out.
Yep.
So, Sean, I have some good news. The dirt stays in place.
Nice.
Whatever this awoken entity is, it is not within 100 paces of the three of you. But
these ash creatures are within 100 creatures of the three of them. These dirt creatures are, right? They're right to push.
They are, but as I said to Jamie, and like just to be clear, like, and Whisper can feel it, like they are dead for all intents and purposes. Right. If you were a sorcerer, you probably could wake them back up. But as it stands, like probably you can just leave them here and it'll be fine.
Yeah. Right. So I think at the moment when Tang is going, I also want to give Whisper the opportunity to linger in that moment.
Yeah.
But when Tang does go to grab my hand and drag away, you can absolutely do that. Sean, I'm totally excited about that. But I'm definitely holding out my hand that has like some spit and some dirt in it, as though that's proof of something. Like look, it's fine. Nothing wants to hurt us. We're fine.
It's okay.
It's fine. I've got dirty spit hand. Anyway, that's my version.
Yeah.
What's happening with Whisper?
Whisper, what's up?
I think Whisper recognizes the responsibility they have in this moment, right? And so before, as Tang like reaches out to take Whisper's hand, Whisper doesn't look, and Whisper just says, "When I open this door, it will affect everything that I can see. I need you and Moss to move as far away as you can so that I can no longer see you."
I think I push aside the 24 questions that I would like to ask you. And instead what I say is, do we have to move far, or do you just have to not see us?
I just have to not see you.
All right, Moss, and we are now going to play an actual game of Owl Eye. I look around. What's that?
No, I was just what I was thinking too. Like, yes, I love that we're going to play our games.
Yeah. I think that there is not a whole lot of cover in this part of the ruins. Like there is like one slightly more wooded area. And so now I do grab your hand, Moss, and we are running and we dive into I don't know, Luke, why don't you actually tell us like what the landscape is like? Like, where do we find that cover?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is mostly just like fallen masonry, right?
Okay.
Like Sean has established that there are no plants really that grow here. Besides, I think there is a particular. I think there is a species of ivy that grows here that turns a like flaming crimson color in autumn, but it's only just barely started to turn.
Okay. I mean, that's all I need for my purposes. Like, if there are piles of, I mean, unless there's like more detail you want to give.
And I think there's just like, here is a half ruined wall. There on the ground is a pile of the other half of it.
And you can easily hop over a halfway collapsed wall and
exactly.
You know.
Yeah, I think like the two of us just go, and like there is a thing, like even with these ashen creatures, the thing that made us notice it is they looked like people. There were recognizable silhouettes. And I think like I know that Moss, from playing this game with him or with them for like a long time, is just not going to be able to hold it together. So I put Moss into the most like the lee of the stone, where no matter what, you can't see Moss. And I'm the one who has to contort my body around you so that our silhouette conforms to this rubble and is not recognizably human. So Whisper can't see us, but also importantly, they can't notice us to look for us. But I already, like, my body is already uncomfortable. Like, I don't know how long I can hold this position.
Yeah. And Moss immediately makes annoying noises like, you know, like I'm squished, even though I'm not nearly as uncomfortable as you are. I'm just like, these are noises that my dog makes when I hold him a little. Like, I hold him, he's like, he makes old man noises sometimes when I pick him up.
I love how much of Moss is inspired by Emmett. It's so good.
Between all of this adrenaline and responsibility and now physical discomfort, Gian, I think I might ask you to mark one where.
Okay.
Tag.
Absolutely.
I think that is a reasonable thing for me to do.
I should print this out before next session. Okay, but I will mark it now. Where?
And where is how we track. This is not a game that cares in granular detail about physical injury. Like, if you break your arm, you've broken your arm, and we can just follow the fiction to figure out what that means.
For sure.
The thing that we care about is, like, you know, the emotional strain and the accompanying kind of fatigue that comes with it, that hardship brings. And so you tire, starting to falter. Whisper. So you're going to open a door. I'm pretty sure I know what door you're opening, and I'm really hoping you can figure out a way to come back, because that's a serious door. What does it look like when you use the Conjurer's Key to open one of these doors?
I think what it looks like is I first hear my sister's voice against my ear, the last one who held the key. And she says, "You know which door is calling to you?" And I say, "Yes." And I take the key, and I'm aware that I must lead someone to their death. And this is what these poor beings obviously need. They have been caught in between a state of life and death, and I must take responsibility and lead them through. So when I open up the key, when I pick up the key, I reach out with a hand, because the doors are always around me at all times. And I wait until like my hand feels the door of mist, and I press my palm against it. And that's when, even before I start to open the door, I know that I'm going to find my old home there. And Luke, if you want, we can end on this dramatic note for this session and see what happens next time.
I
when
think
try to open the door.
let's maybe roll the move so we have an idea of what the
Yeah.
consequences might look like, and then
Sure.
we can close.
Okay. I will open up. My browser is acting up. The other one, so I'm going to just roll physical dice.
Yeah.
That's what I've been
And so,
doing.
so it is the door of mist, whose virtue is that you and all you see are swallowed by death.
Yes.
I'm
my
so
God.
curious whether Tang is like.
Sorry, I wrote boxcars, y'all. That's a 14 in total.
Oh,
I thought for sure this is going to be my moment. We're going to mess up.
Oh,
very
I
cool.
love this. Yeah, so like, you can feel the door ahead of you. You reach out, instinctively like where the keyhole on the door is, and you feel the key like jar in your hand and snag in the lock. And this is not graceful, and this is not as it should be. Do you want to choose two for me, and then maybe we'll leave those dangling in the air, and we can come back next fortnight?
Oh, I still have to choose? I thought in a 10 plus hit, your will be done.
Oh, sorry, there was a 10?
Yeah, I wrote boxcars.
Boxcars.
Yeah.
I wrote 14.
I always get boxcars and snake eyes mixed up for some reason. Oh, good, Jamie, well done. I apologize.
No worries.
My brain started rolling in the other damn direction. All right. On a 10 plus hit, your will be done indeed. And I think, let's leave it there, and we can come back to it next week.
It is. I was literally typing in chat. It is cosmically unfair that we have to wait 2 weeks to play this game again. That is just not right.
Not right, but also.
Yeah, so I think where we leave off is like we hear. If this were a television show, right? Like the camera is focused on the outstretched hand, the key disappearing into nothingness as it enters like a keyhole that is not there in a place that is not this one. We hear the sound of it turn. We hear the click of the lock. We hear the creak of the door swinging open as like a waft of mist just like rises up in front of the camera, and everything goes white.
Love it.
And then
Love it.
What comes after that?
Very good. I am very curious because you and all you see are swallowed by death is the note about the door of mist. So I'm very curious if Tang, being so good at sneaking and so good at not being noticed, if Whisper can't see Tang, but Tang is still peering over, like just a tiny bit to see what's going on.
There's like a gap in the rubble where like you can't see my eye, but I can it's like a blind, like a hunting blind.
Yeah,
I think that is definitely a question that we could ask.
I think it's a question we could ask, and we'll ask it next time. Anyway, friends, thank you all for hanging out with us. Everyone in chat, you've been delightful.
Oh, yeah.
This has been a very, very fun game to play. Thank you, Luke, for running it. I'm Sean Nittner. I use he, him pronouns. I had a blast playing Moss, and we'll be playing more games in a couple weeks. So come back for Blades and Traveler and this too. How about you, Gian? Where can people find what stuff are you working on? Where can people find you?
My name is Gian Shim. I use she, her, and they, them pronouns. I am the co-author of Field Guide to Memory, which is on my itch.io. You can also find me on Twitter at my handle is just Gian Shim. I have a Patreon, which the handle is also Gian Shim, and The Last Will and Testament and Gaudium Blythe is coming out very, very, very soon to my endless nerve-wracked anxiety. And The Shape of Shadows, which kickstarted right after, is going live in 2 weeks. So those are all places you can find me.
Nice. How about you, Jamie?
Hi, I'm Jamie. I use they, he pronouns. I had so much fun playing Whisper, and I had so much fun breaking Luke earlier. That was really, I'm going to cherish that moment. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Temporal Hiccup. I like to use a lot of Sailor Moon gifs, and you can help support me. I also like to make games at patreon.com/swordqueengames. The biggest game I'm working on right now is Apocalypse Keys, which has big emotions, big monsters holding back the apocalypse. It'll be published with Ipahat, which is amazing. But yeah, I have a lot of games I'm working on, and I'd love to hang out with you on Twitter.
Awesome.
Hello,
How about
everyone.
you, Luke?
Thank you very much to my fellow players for playing my game with them. I've been waiting to play with this group of people for a very long time, and it's just as wonderful as I always imagined. Thank you, Chad, for showing up. You can, on my Twitter, @WildwoodsGames, find a pinned tweet that has in the replies a link to sign up for the playtest of this game, where you can get all the playtesting documents and explore your own stories about the Cantrefs. That's pretty much all I do on the internet. Just go check out my Twitter. It's all right, you know? It's pretty good. I make games sometimes.
Awesome. Thank you, Luke, very much for not only making this game, but running it for us. How freaking cool is that?
Yeah, thank you so much. This is
Thank you so much,
cool
Luke.
game.
All right. We'll see you all anon, friends. Bye.
Bye.